Pepsi's best and worst moments. Hey everyone, it is Alexa again, and welcome back to another video. PepsiCo has been around for nearly a century and a half. They have seen highs and lows. For such an old company, they still hold a firm grip on the global market. What are some of their best and worst and downright strange decisions? Stay tuned to find out. But before we get into the video, you know the drill. Make sure that you're subscribed and ring the bell so that you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Brad's drink. Let's start with a little bit of history. This is Caleb Davis Bradham, the inventor of Pepsi-Cola. Bradham worked as a pharmacist in North Carolina during the late 19th century. It was around this time he created the recipe for a new soft drink. This drink consisted of cola nuts, vanilla, caramel sugar, water, and a few other things, resulting in the dark, fizzy soda we're familiar with today. Bradham found early success with his drink. It wasn't long before it became a national favorite. By 1893, he began selling the drink in his pharmacy store and dubbed it Brad's drink. Bradham believed the drink could relieve indigestion, also called dyspepsia. Hence, the name change came about in 1898, and the drink became better known as Pepsi-Cola. Promised millionaires. Pepsi had a significant problem on its hands in the Philippines during the 90s. In 1992, Pepsi began a new promotion. Those with the magic number written on their bottle caps will win 1 million pesos. In US dollars, that equals $40,000. If your bottle cap read 349, you were a winner. However, the whole thing backfired on Pepsi. They accidentally printed out 800,000 bottle caps with the number 349, meaning tens of thousands of Filipino consumers were expecting to be millionaires. PepsiCo refused to pay them. Soon the streets were filled, understandably, with angry citizens. Make it bigger. Consumerism in America has a common theme. The bigger it is, the better it is. Food portions slowly grew over the years, and Pepsi was no exception. It might not seem like a big deal to sell soda in a 2-liter bottle now, but back then, bottles were half the size. It was 1970, and PepsiCo was the first to change the bottle size to 2 liters. Because of the amount of time it takes to design a new bottle and create patents, PepsiCo wasn't able to sell the 2-liter bottle until 1985. When they finally did, PepsiCo saw a considerable rise in profits. They took a risk in raising their prices for the bigger bottle, and it paid off. Buy all the sugar. After nearly 3 decades of producing Pepsi-Cola, creator Caleb Bradham ran into a bit of a problem. A little thing called, well, World War I rolled around. Prices on everyday household items were suddenly costly. Among the list was sugar. You can't have a soda like Pepsi without a whole lot of sugar. Bradham thought that if he spent a significant amount of money to buy sugar right away before the price skyrocketed, he could resell it for a profit. Unfortunately for Bradham, the cost of sugar stayed relatively the same. He spent so much on the sweetener that he had to declare bankruptcy in 1923. The Pepsi FritoLay Merger. Speaking of mergers, not all of Pepsi-Cola's ventures went awry. Nothing goes together better than a cold glass of soda and a bag of chips. Pepsi-Cola took this sentiment to heart. Frito-Lay started as 2 separate companies, the Frito Company and H.W. Lay & Company. These 2 companies merged in '61 and became Frito-Lay. Not long after, Frito-Lay Inc. merged with Pepsi-Cola. It was after this merger that Pepsi-Cola Company became PepsiCo. Because of this combination of companies, PepsiCo became and remains the largest globally distributed snack company. A rise in the Great Depression. Unlike many other businesses and the whole country of the United States in general, the Pepsi-Cola Company profited during the Great Depression. The economic crisis of the 30s in America resulted in a lot of places going out of business, citizens not being able to pay rent, buy new clothes, or buy food. Somehow, Pepsi managed to dodge all of this hardship. When the Great Depression happened, Pepsi did not necessarily lower the prices on their 6-ounce bottles, which cost a nickel. Instead, they changed the size to a 12-ounce bottle and sold it for the same price. Pepsi saw its sales double right away. The Pepsi Challenge. What was the Pepsi Challenge? For those around during the 70s, it probably sounds familiar to you. The Pepsi Challenge went like this. Pepsi visited malls around the US and prompted people to participate in a blind taste test between Pepsi and Coca-Cola. This experiment could have been very embarrassing for Pepsi, but the results turned out in their favor. People picked Pepsi over Coke by a landslide. Pepsi boasted the results on television, much to the chagrin of the Coca-Cola company. In an indirect response to the Pepsi challenge, Coke changed its formula so that it actually tasted more like Pepsi. Sofia Vergara's career. Most audiences recognize Sofia Vergara for her role in the hit comedy show Modern Family, but Sofia's career was on the rise long before that. She has Pepsi in part to thank for the jumpstart to her acting career. PepsiCo saw her strong celebrity potential and cast her to star in a Pepsi ad in the 90s. You'd probably only remember this ad if you're from South America, because that's the only place the commercial aired. At the time, Vergara was only 17 years old. She went on to become a famous actress after that, and a household name. In 2011, Pepsi asked her to do another ad, this time for Diet Pepsi. The 500 patents. Okay, the number is actually closer to 474, but 500 patents flows better. At the rate PepsiCo's going, it's probably gonna be 500 soon anyhow. Pepsi is constantly changing and evolving their image and products. As a big corporation like that, you can't invent and incorporate new things without a patent. Some of the recent patents from the past 3 years include one for vending machines, beverage dispenser systems and methods, and a patent for an infrared sensor for ingredient level detection. One of their out-of-the-box patents is for a tennis racket, invented by Gerald H. Herndon and Douglas E. Dempsey in the 70s. The tennis racket was unique in that it substituted wood for nylon. This material, along with the interlocking channel-shaped pieces on the tennis racket, made it more durable than regular tennis rackets. Pepsi in the USSR. History shows that Russian and American relations have not always been smooth sailing. Back when Russia and its territories were known as the USSR, selling anything from America was looked down upon by the Soviets. Pepsi was lucky in that it was the first prominent American company and capitalistic brand that had a place in the socialist market. Pepsi has been selling in Russia since '74. Starbucks. A can of soda isn't the first thing you think of when you hear Starbucks. In 1994, PepsiCo and Starbucks came together to form the North American Coffee Partnership. Before this partnership, ready-made coffee in a bottle was unheard of. It's strange to think this concept was something society lacked not 30 years ago, but that's how it was. Now you can purchase Starbucks in a glass bottle at most grocery stores. The Aquafina controversy. The bottled water product Aquafina was first introduced on the market in 1994. PepsiCo produces this brand of purified water, and it's a fairly popular brand too. However, people have voiced their suspicions of how PepsiCo sources their water. Many believe that the label on Aquafina bottles misrepresents the fact that Aquafina water is derived from municipal tap sources. The water goes through a purification process before it hits shelves, but still, the label depicts the image of a mountain, suggesting they source the water from mountain springs, which isn't true, it's tap water. Despite this, Aquafina remains at 13% of the domestic bottled water sales. Soda in sports. You'd be hard-pressed to go to a sports viewing party without the host providing soda for their guests. It seems fitting, then, that an all-American brand like Pepsi has such strong ties with the sports world. Pepsi is often an official sponsor to many sporting events, such as the biggest one in America, the Super Bowl. The NFL and PepsiCo have had a formal partnership since the 80s. PepsiCo took over NBA sponsorship from their rival, Coca-Cola, in 2015. For the past 4 years, PepsiCo has been the official food and beverage sponsor for basketball in America, which includes not only the NBA, but women's NBA, USA Basketball, and the NBA Development League. Remember Slice? Slice was a fruit-flavored beverage that PepsiCo began manufacturing in 1984. It stuck around until the 2000s when PepsiCo discontinued it. At first, Slice was a huge hit and brought about the creation of juice-infused drinks like Sunkist and Minute Maid. Slice came in flavors like strawberry, cherry, pineapple, and grape. In 2006, Pepsi brought Slice back as a diet soda called Slice One. In 2008, they reintroduced Slice as a mango-flavored drink that was advertised as Tropicana Slice. Last year, they announced that the new Slice products were named New Slice Ventures. The rise of Mountain Dew. Tennessee beverage bottlers Barney and Allie Hartman created the original formula of Mountain Dew in 1940. The product went through a few revisions in the following decades. The brand and production rights did not fall into the hands of Pepsi until 1964. People loved this green-colored drink, but what was so different about it compared to the other citrus sodas? Mountain Dew possesses, unsurprisingly, a higher amount of caffeine. Although the caffeine level doesn't compare to an energy drink or a few cups of coffee, consumers still felt a difference in their energy levels. Pepsi used this knowledge to further propel the public's favor for Mountain Dew. Before we tell you number 1, we have a question to ask. What are your favorite sodas? Are you pro-Pepsi or pro-Coke? Maybe you're more of a Sprite or Sierra Mist sort of person. Let us know in the comments below. The Kendall Jenner ad. Pepsi's most recent spotlight stint was 2 years ago, and it wasn't a good moment for them at all. In 2017, you might remember that now infamous ad with model Kendall Jenner and a crowd of protesters. The ad aired in a time when the Black Lives Matter protests were at their height in media coverage. Within this context, seeing someone like Kendall Jenner displayed as a sort of leader or solution to political unrest made people, understandably, angry. Whatever message Pepsi was trying to send in an ad that depicted Jenner ending a protest with a can of Pepsi and a smile, it didn't land. In a statement addressing the controversy, Pepsi said they were trying to project a global message of unity, peace, and understanding. They apologized for seemingly making light of a serious issue. Soon, Pepsi pulled the ad from airing.